My name's Chris Watson. I run Endor Learn and Develop, and for the last 16 years we've focused exclusively on behaviourally based learning and development. So effectively what we look at is not what people do, but the way that they go about it. In those 16 years we've picked up some unexpected insights in terms of developing people. For one person in the room got the ultimate gift. Genuinely have got something that they can walk away with that's going to, I hope, stay with them and resonate with them for many years to come. This isn't it. But if you can imagine instead that I'm going to give you a holiday in the Bahamas. And this is a 6 months, you can see why this isn't a gift, but a 6 months all expense paid trip to the Bahamas. Okay? Fantastic time you'll have. And there's only one caveat to this, and that is you are responsible for sourcing and identifying the person that backfills your position. So you've got to find someone to replace you for the 6 months that you're away. And don't forget as well, your personal professional reputation and also the success of the ongoing success of your role is dependent upon the quality of the person that is appointed to backfill for you for those 6 months. Otherwise you can have a great time. So I want you to think for a moment about your position. Okay, it is unique to you, so about your role, and I want you to think about the qualities and the attributes of a peak performer in role. Whatever it is you do, whether you work in logistics, whether you're in HR, whether you're a line manager, whether you work in recruitment, what are the qualities and the attributes of a peak performer, of someone that does your job? Now, there's only one other thing to bear in mind, is that you can use an online portal for this. Okay, and this online portal's got everything already populated. It says all about the company that you work for. It says why you're a great employer of choice. It also says all the stuff at the bottom about how to sort of send in the application and all the requirements for submission. But what you've got to do is you've got to populate the 10 words that best describe the qualities and the attributes of the peak performer. Okay, so you're only allowed 10 words. So I want you to write down the 10 words that best describe someone, this person that you're after. What are they like? What are they going to be able to do? What are these skills or attributes and qualities of a peak performer in role? Now, if you're currently looking for a job, then try to anticipate maybe what the qualities and attributes of a person in that role would be. So, anyone want to let me know the type of attributes that they've identified?
Flexible.
Flexible, fantastic.
I've got communicator.
Communicator.
Approachable.
Lovely.
I've got self-motivated. I've got some that's can do.
Can do, yeah, can do attitudes. Nice.
Motivator.
Motivator, right, yeah.
Mentor.
Lovely.
Humble.
Humble, okay, great.
Innovator.
Innovator, yeah, creativity is nice. Reliable, nice.
Confident.
Confident. Lovely. I'm actually going to stop you there, if that's okay. Unless someone's got a real burning one, that they know this is critical for success, if you like, in my role. This burning one that I haven't managed to share yet.
Well, you hate me for saying it, but I would say objective.
Objective. Well, okay, no, I think that's a fantastic aspiration.
Can we have sense of humour?
Sense of humour, yeah, definitely. Now, I will stop there on that little funny bone, because it's a really interesting thing that happens. What you've provided is probably an even higher percentage than what normally happens with this exercise. And we've run this for years and years and years, and you always get the same results. And that is this notion that what organisations tend to value initially is not what gets valued as you enter the organisation and you start to work within it. I.e., companies tend to recruit based on technical skills, experience, evidence knowledge, i.e. qualifications and so forth. And all these things get you to the door and get you in the door. But as soon as you got in the door, actually they kind of become, unimportant or far less important. And what becomes important is, what do you think? How would you collectively describe all of these terms?
Attributes.
They are attributes. What sort of attributes, though?
Personalities.
They are behaviourally based, definitely, but more about interpersonal approaches and interpersonal impact, style, yeah, rather than some of the technical stuff. Because these are the things, if we kind of all know, make the difference. Yeah, it is the way that people go about it, if not necessarily the technical, knowledge that they have. And so often you'll see in an organisation where someone is unfortunately put through what's called a magic weekend, and they are without doubt maybe the best operator, and so because of their prowess, their technical insight, their knowledge of the particular operating practice, they get promoted, and then on Monday they're supposed to be, this really effective supervisor, team leader or manager, and that's when all the problems start. Yeah? And it isn't just your exercise that demonstrates this. If we look at one of the most technical environments you could ever imagine, let's go for Google, okay? And you look at Google, a fantastic, if you haven't heard of this, look up Project Oxygen. And Project Oxygen has been running now for 10 years, started in 2008, but, and it is evolving as well. The original drivers of Project Oxygen were to sort of try and find out what employees valued most in their managers. Again, what people were expecting to see was technical expertise, especially at Google. Yeah? What Google found, though, however, was that technical ability, the defining trait of many Googlers, give the expression, actually came in last. And again, it was these type of attributes and qualities that came in first. And in fact, the number one, for anyone interested, was actually coaching. A manager that invests in me and spends time to develop me. Okay. So, that's fine, but that sort of kind of whets your appetite, really, because that's really looking at what we want from a manager. But being more defined about it, if you keep doing this exercise, could you sort of collate this information and then do something with it? Starting 10 years ago, we got a chunk of money from the European Regional Development Fund to work with the Knowledge Transfer Project, with a bit of support from the University of Hull, to actually find out in this country what is it that employers value most in their employees. And more specifically, really trying to identify the adaptive skills that could be transferred into any role, okay, and also any sector. So actually, if we can find what these are, this is the ultimate portable vocational success package for anyone. Because once you've got your qualifications, yeah, then what do you do? Yeah, do you know how? Where do you invest your time and energy to develop yourself, and indeed, if you're a manager, to develop others? Because actually, there is some evidence around this that we actually know what those things are. So there was a 10-year study with free feedback, and this was really robust. 8,000 organisations from every sector, every industry, from the NHS, North Yorkshire Police, Virgin Media, anyone you can think of, fisheries, agriculture in Lincolnshire, creative, digital industries. What this found was there are 21 themes, 21 key areas that will add value to anyone regardless of where they are in an organisation structurally or what their role is. Furthermore, these 21 are so consistent that all employers are saying this is what we value in our employees, so you're kind of speaking the language that they want, that these 21 are associated with successful outcomes at work. So if you're wondering where should I invest my energy, where should I invest my time, and what's going to give me some transferable skills that are not just useful in my current job, but actually maybe in 5 jobs' time and I might be working in a completely different sector, hands down, these are them. First sight could look like a competency framework really, but it's not, because what it's saying is regardless of where you are, what your role is, these 21 themes will offer you long-term value. Yeah? And instead of being prescriptive and saying a manager needs to be this particular shape, that's nonsense. The speed of change these days is so fast that people moving from project to project, job to job, task to task, that it makes much more sense than saying, as a sales manager, you need this skill, this skill, this skill, and this skill, and then try and squeeze someone into an arbitrary profile and just keep hammering them into that shape, which seems madness to me. Instead, you look at the particular project or the particular task that they're needing to get involved with, isolate what are the skills based on those 21 that they need, and then find quick and effective ways to develop them in those, and then move on based on the requirements of the next job. Because each person is different. A new book, so it's right up to date in terms of things that you can do, practical ideas to extend performance. Every single one of them can be introduced by each person rather than requiring any additional budget or any additional outside support. They're all perfectly manageable. They're all proven. Some of them might be perverse or provocative, but they all hold up and reflect the latest thinking in terms of how to get the best from yourself and from others. So the book's got 840 practical ideas reflecting the latest thinking on how to extend capability and commitment in the workplace. It's based on that 10-year study. What it does ultimately, it delivers a dynamic snapshot of learning possibilities, because actually you pick it up, and if you needed to get better at constructive communication, which is one of the skills, because you know actually you don't normally have to do this in your job, but there's now a project where you're going to need to do it, there will be 40 practical ideas that you can own, manage and introduce that will make a tangible difference to your constructive communication skills. So it's a sort of resource of reliable solutions to help you adapt and change to new approaches and work methods. They're all relevant and achievable, and they're all linked to job requirements, because we know this is what employers are saying that they actually need most from their staff. So it puts you in control, so it's very much aligned to self-directed learners rather than having to rely on outside agencies. It's the #1 HR and training book on Amazon, and it's also been the #1 business reference book in this last quarter on the Amazon bestsellers. And I hope it's because it helps people manage their own learning. In terms of the type of things in there, there are some quotes, there are practical tools, there are areas of inspiration, so there are books, there are resources, there are pointers to the best TED Talks, there are downloadable apps, there are, you know, anything that you'll need in terms of sort of managing learning and development provision for yourself or for others. So, back to Heidi. Guess what Heidi's won? Well done, Heidi.
Thank you.
That's that too.
That was worth it then, thanks very much.
Thank you to you. Any questions about, it's been a breakneck sort of tour of just, as I say, 8 of sort of the 840 that are in there, just to give you a flavour of how you really can take charge of your own professional development without a big budget or a big HR and L&D team behind you.
Just with the, I'd be interested in your thoughts around the idea of Gallup, have obviously done all that research that effectively found that nothing mattered apart from that individual piece, but they're quite big on the Clifton strengths thing, which is the sort of the groundwork and the foundation for a lot of strengths profiles across businesses.
Yeah.
Is that all a fallacy then? Is that like a...
That's a really good question.
Is that a money-making exercise for them and their consultants because they've already proven that it means nothing?
Well, I think there's 2 things there. First of all, I don't think they prove that it means nothing. There's obviously merit in being an effective team player. There's merit in being, you know, sort of highly motivational. There's merit in some roles being able to influence others. But what they were saying with that particular thing about the line managers was that actually none of those were sort of directly related to, you know, sort of superior performance in role. So it's still recognising that there is some value in them, but it's saying that that by itself isn't the determining factor, if you like, of success.
So to do like the strength profiling across a business still has value in it. It's still...
Yeah, I mean, the more I see, the more I'm sort of sceptical of any profiling thing that is deterministic and says you as a customer service agent should be this, and this, because it's too prescriptive. And also it doesn't buy in and recognise the strength that each individual has. Now you can go too far down that and everything becomes about the individual. Clearly there are some ways of working that are more successful in different roles. But what the recent research with the University of Hull has found is that a more helpful approach is to look at the evolving requirements and then pull out things that you know actually are associated with successful outcomes. And they're not an arbitrary profile that says you should be this shape. It's much more dynamic than that. So if that is the case, what you've got to do is find ways to access the right sort of, you know, moving feast of support to be able to help people at the point of need. And that's why there's such an interest in things like, it's called micro-learning, picking up learning bites, short, effective ways of learning that doesn't require you to go on a sort of 2-week residential course with a training provider like Endor, you know, and I might be shooting myself in the foot here, because it's just changing so much the sort of learning agenda. and a lot of organisations are starting to cotton on and try and catch up with that. So it's a really interesting time for L&D. So just to say many thanks for today. I do have, as you'd expect on something like this, some glorious, lovely copies of, highly discounted following the CMI's support, of Upskill. And I've certainly enjoyed spending an hour and a half with you all, and thanks for your contributions.
Thank you.